Are they in there still?
No, I just had another. There's that.
You're gonna let them know? So obviously, like, just sitting here talking, like, obviously we don't put them in the car anymore just because of everything that's going on. I just think it's really like going back to what we talked about the other day, right? I think to have some discipline and really to commit, like, I'm doing the search for you versus, just set like, and look, like, I honestly don't like sending them houses until I've had them out in the car, until I showed them one or two. I kind of want to, I wouldn't want to talk like I talked about with you the other day, right? I don't want to tell you about the office till we met. I mean, it seems so, it just, to me, it seems shallow. If, like, you just don't give people the keys to the candy store without some kind of joint investment in each other, but it's one of the hard, I see agents have such a hard time with it because people can do searches on their own. But again, if you're telling them the story as to why you're doing it this way, hey, I'd really like to get out and see a couple houses with you before I start sending them to you. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I wouldn't lose a customer over it, so to speak. But
It should be like your first.
Right. It shouldn't be. And I think for a lot of people, it's their default that because it's easy.
Yeah.
It's just easy. These guys are coming back in. I'll do it again for them if they want. It's just, I'm not going to waste our time here. So, and again, like, to me, the other thing that I do when I'm doing that is I definitely share with them that they're not going to hurt my feelings. If they don't like something, it's not that big a deal. I mean, it's not, I'm not going to personalize because if here, what's amazing to me, how much time, and this goes back to that interview process with the potential client, how much time we waste doing things because we assume we're doing the right things and we never got the feedback from the people that we're doing it for. We think we're doing a great job, but at the end of it, they're not happy about it. This is not going to work now.
He's so savvy though, these people now, they technology and all this.
I do apologize for this being such a mess with the technology here today. I'm crazy. It's all frozen. And I can send you the PowerPoint on it anyway, so.
Yeah.
Not bad. Let's see if I think we got it. Yeah, okay. And again, some of this is that very much I repeat myself, right? But, one, asking for the sale, like, if you've taken the time and you've done the interview properly and you've invested in their search or your appointment on the listing, and you're confident that you did your part of the investment properly, I think that critical to ask for the sale. When you're on the listing, hey, let's sign it up right now. If you're out with a buyer, hey, you really seem like, let me kind of stretch that, what I was about to say. I think too often we expect in our business, if I'm talking about generalities, that we expect the consumer to say, okay, let's do it. okay, this is the one. And so many realtors that I've seen will wait for that, right? They just wait and wait and wait. I was always of the opinion, right, that if I've created this standard that I'm going to hold myself to, if I'm going to engage you, that then I have earned the right to at least ask for your business. I don't, you know, how aggressively you go about that, that's an individual decision, no question about it. But to me, it's, I have to ask, right? And then I ask, if they say no, I ask why not? Because then, quite frankly, I put the sort of the spotlight back on myself and say, well, what did I miss? What wasn't I paying attention to? What question didn't I ask? What question did I answer incorrectly as it pertains to Lane? You know, because whenever I'm with an appointment, I have two goals, right? Primary goal is I get the deal. That's the primary goal. The second goal is if I don't get the deal, I understand why. I don't want to walk away with a question mark. Like, what happened there? You know, I just don't want to walk away with that. So these things all tie together. And then there's always the harsh reality in sales that maybe you're the right person at the wrong time. So you've done everything right. You've asked for the sale. You just can't get them, right? So then what's the next thing that I want to do? Well, I don't want to leave you without an appointment, right? And I don't know, I mean, we started our little journey together a couple of weeks ago. As you're walking out the door, what did I ask you, right? Yeah. When's a good time to follow up? When are you making your decision? Yeah. Right? Because I want to be part of that. I mean, we just spent an hour together. Again, I want, like, in your case, I wanted you to join. I understood what a big decision it was. I thought I answered all your questions, but I also know once you leave that something could change. And I either want to be able to solve those concerns or understand what I couldn't concern. Just like I used the example of the other lady that I talked to and she didn't come, but I knew I couldn't do it, right? I knew I couldn't give the atmosphere that she was looking for. Just from talking to her. So I already knew the answer. I was hopeful that I was able to convince her that our way was the better way, but I knew the answer to why. And I think it's really critical as you jump in this, and especially, look, I think you got the advantage, like I said, you've got the advantage of the relationship building. You've got the advantage of your husband's in sales. So now you put those two things together. You know, I'd be curious, and I don't know if you talk, I'd be curious how much of this he agrees with or doesn't agree with, you know, like, you know, from a sales perspective, because I don't think it's anything special. I'm not, you know, but, you know, you have to go after that sale, and then you've got to be an educator on the contract. Write the contract, explain the contract, tell them what to expect. So for me, this becomes equally important, right? Because what I want to happen is if you've agreed to do business with me, right, then I want you to know everything that's about to happen. And here's why. I know that, for lack of a better way of putting it, someone that's buying something or being sold something, they're going to come out of the ether, right? So they're going to have a moment of second guessing their decision. So, and in the real estate transaction, you're 30 to 45 days out, right? You've got, where's the pitfalls? Inspections are the pitfalls, appraisal are the pitfall, and the mortgage process is the pitfall. Title could be, but I don't think that rings so much on the buyer or seller's mind. So I want them to know what's going to happen. I talk to them about what to expect and what my expectation is of the inspection, of what my expectation is of the appraisal. That way, when it happens, it's not just an automatic throwing their hands up and wanting to quit the deal, so to speak, and do it all over again. Because here's what I'll tell you. I don't care how many houses you sell, how many years you do this, every transaction, although they have their own specific things that happen in them, it's all still the same. There's inspection issues, there's appraisal issues, right? So if the customer knows that going in, you have more credibility when you're overcoming those objections. That's what I look at. You know, when you wait until the inspection to tell them, you can't be complaining about worn carpet. It's probably a bad example, but you know, now you sound like a salesperson instead of the advisor that I was at the time of contract. So, I say this, with a great deal of confidence. Most of the people that I've dealt with have always known what to expect. And we take that through with the mortgage process too. And I think that's why the lion's share of our mortgage people are very happy with us, because when they're buying a house, there's that uncertainty. And for some people, it's more stressful than others because some are buying it because of want, some are buying it because of need, some are buying it because of both. Some are crunched with timelines. Again, knowing your customer, right? But they're stressed out. And, we do it every day. So it's not stressful for us. So I think the more we can educate them up front, the better off we become for them. Just talked about all this managing the contingencies, finance, inspection, appraisals, deposits, loan commitment, title, walkthrough, walking them through all those things and making them aware. So it's just not that, again, not complicated. I never try to make this overly complicated. So my next 5 is the strategic partnership. So what do I mean by that? Again, the office being a reflection of your personal brand, right? I have to kill that. The other, so you're looking at what the office is going to provide, the tools, the leads, whatever it boils down to. So you've made that decision. I think the key ingredient, and we do it here, right? We set it up. Some people have their own. I think for an agent, they got to build this business bubble, right? So you're the agent, preferred mortgage vendor, preferred title vendor, preferred home inspector. And then it's great to be able to help people through fixes if you need them, contractors, things like that, right? And here's what I'll say. And I'm shocked I've said this the other day, I'm shocked by the people that don't use the in-house stuff, but I don't lose sleep over it anymore, but I don't understand it. And here's why. I always believed I had to work with people that had a vested interest in my success, right? That's who I want to partner with. I'll help you be successful if you'll help me be successful. That's a win-win, right? How we define that is individual and independent, right? So my standard was really like when I got into business, I can always use that example. The mortgage guy, like I knew he made me look bigger than I was because I was new. I knew that he took every opportunity to teach me about the mortgage side of it that he did. So that was helpful for me. And he made me look good, right? My deals got to closing on time. My people loved them. This is a win-win. I'm getting paid, right? I got my mortgage license when he stopped doing those things. I didn't get my mortgage license because I was like, oh, here's a revenue stream. I got my mortgage license because he stopped making me look good. I was apologizing for him. So to me, those strategic partners that have a vested interest in my success, have open communications with me, and don't allow me to waste my time, those things are critical to me, right? And again, let's go back to what I said about that independent, your international brand or your national brand, your franchise, your local brand, your office, and your brand, well, this becomes part of your brand because now you're truly an advisor and you truly walk them through the process. And it's a win-win for you because you've got all the information at your disposal. So I look at that. Talked about all those things, does your home inspector, I used Danny Logue, pillar to post, 21 years. I probably used 3 or 4 people before I locked in on him. Why I locked in on him? Because I loved 3 things about him. Maybe 4. He was very good at what he did. He was thorough, right? He had a presentation that was beautiful, something that was visual. People understood it on the home inspection. He understood the contract, the real estate contract. So he didn't go in with the intent of killing my contract to build value in him. He went in thinking, let me tell these people what I see about this house as it pertains to every other house I see and make it a realistic picture. I can't tell you how many home inspectors go in with the thought, I'm going to kill the deal, because if I kill the deal, these people are going to hire me again on the next house they go to look with. So they're trying to get 2 or 3 inspections out of a consumer. Pillar to Post was like, well, if I do a good job for Tony, I'm going to get 2 or 3 inspections out of Tony. Right? And he did that. He killed deals when it was necessary. We never sold a house we shouldn't have sold. But that mindset of understanding the real estate contract, what should be a cancelable item, understanding where somebody should be really concerned, or understanding that, hey, this is pretty much the way it is in this marketplace. I would not work with a home inspector, and I wouldn't go outside Danny, me personally now, because I have great trust in that. I wouldn't want to run the risk, right? So I look at that. Other things, homeowners insurance, that's a great referral tool. Home warranty, I personally still steer clear of home warranties, because I have not yet met one that lived up to the standard that they preached. If I find one, great, I'll let you know. If you find one, great, please let me know. But again, they should all be reflective of your image. I can't stress that enough, and that's why I think I've stopped losing sleep over those that don't use Go Mortgage, because this sounds very arrogant, but I'm pretty committed to the thought. Well, they're using somebody not as good. If they want to risk their business by doing that, so be it. That's my thinking. So again, I've done this presentation for people in our office. I've done this presentation for out of the office, but a lot of agents don't look at it like this, right? So it's just, do you have those strategic partnerships? And then step 6, very simple philosophy, I think everybody looks for the silver bullet in this business, being, where do I get my leads? Who's supplying this? How am I doing that? All that crap. I believe if you start with this thinking, that this business is inconvenient and you need to be urgent. If everything you do in this business starts with that, that's the silver bullet. Because again, I've done this all day. I don't think there's a great value in a lot of the stuff we do. It's part of the process that you have to do it. But this is where you overcome any deficiency in what you're doing, any deficiency in your business plan, any deficiency in your sales skills, any deficiency in your tools, any deficiency in your strategic partners. If you are ready and willing when there's an opportunity, and you create the urgency and excitement, you're going to overcome any deficiency. That's why, when we were talking, what do I do next? Go do it. You know what I mean? There's not, right? I mean, there's going to be fear. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be everything and all that. But just, so what? Right? So you create this to me is the silver bullet, right? So where's the fine lines in this? So the first thing is, you got to have a schedule, because if I'm going to be on board with being urgent and accountable and inconvenient, I also got to have time off, right? So again, I hope it starts to make sense. You can't work from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m, 7 days a week. This is already a lifestyle business. So if you're willing to give yourself a schedule, give yourself accountability, give yourself flexibility, at the very least, schedule time off for you, schedule time off for your family, schedule time off for your well-being, right? But then the rest of the time, have that urgency, right? And define it. Again, this goes back to, define like, so for me, at this point in my career, I will take a call at any time. If you call me, short of me being with somebody or short of me just not feeling well or being exhausted, where I know I can't give you, where I'd be more detrimental than good, which, you know, I take calls all the time. I take calls when I'm on vacation. I just, right? Because it doesn't bother me. It's like autopilot. I like what I do and I don't feel like I'm working, right? But I do block out time to black out time, right? So I really do that. When you look at it as inconvenient, you got to remember that even though you are self-employed, you have bought into a career that has a great deal of flexibility, but it's still a job. It's still work, right? So what is that time that you've committed to it? And then hold yourself accountable only to that. Don't set standards that you're going to, I can't tell you how many agents that have worked with that, well, Beth the other day, right? Like where she openly admitted that merging those two things, bad things happening, you know, you just have to find that definition. And as somebody that's new, like I just believe this, it's not, as I've evolved in my thinking, I really think the commitment to time off is more important than the commitment to time work because we work a lot, right? But when you're not off, then your time's not your time. Listen, you've got a 1-year-old, I've got 17-year-olds, you've got kids and grandkids, right? We all know that, like, you don't have off time for them, right? It's when they need you. So when you're working in the real estate business, it's almost the same. It's almost as bad, right? And here's why it's worse almost than the parenting thing that I use as an example. Because as a parent, you know, they have nowhere else to go. They if you're in a bad mood, they got to wait on you to get back in the game, right? With the consumer today, they're impatient. Yeah. Pete and I were just talking about it. He bought some Zillow leads, and you know, he's talking to somebody. Dean does a lot of Zillow and all that, and he said, "Well, the phone should ring." Blah blah blah. I said, "Look, here's the deal with lead purchases. I think they're great, but only if you're committed to answering the phone when it rings." So, you know, for a guy like Pete, the reason Pete and I were talking about was, you know, he's a guy that's been a listing guy for a long time. You can almost be a listing person and work 9 to 5. I mean, you're going to have some calls in the evening, but you can really, listings are more time manageable than buyers, in my opinion. And I said, if you're going to take those calls, it isn't, they're going to voicemail, you're going to return them, you're going to respond to their email. You're either there when they're calling you or you're out, you know, so the time's not really your own, right? I can't stress this enough. So this goes to the urgency line. You've got to set the pace of your transactions. You got to set timelines and expectations on your buyers, right? So I go back to sort of my buyer's presentation. You know, I tell them we're going out to look at 3 to 5 houses, 5 to 7 houses, whatever the search allows me. Most of my buyers buy one on this day. Are you prepared to buy? I'm setting this kind of mindset. If that doesn't happen, you know, the way I work is I really have a clear understanding about what you like and what you don't like. And we'll go out 1 to 3 more times and we're going to find something. And if you're available, we hope to get this done in a 2-week period. I want them to tell me why that's no good for them. Because to me, I want to get paid, right? I don't want to sell you on anything that you're not going to be 100% satisfied with. Just to be clear, that's not my goal. But I believe if you're committed to the process and I'm committed to the process, we can get this done in a short amount of time, which means from the time you and I agree, whether it be overtly or, you know, just kind of assuming that we're working together because everything adds up. I believe if we work hard at this and you're reasonable and I've listened carefully, that if we work my plan, we're going under contract within 2 weeks. And if we go under contract within 2 weeks, I'm getting paid within another 30 to 45 days. So from the time I meet you, I can get paid in 45 to 60 days. If it takes me longer than that, I question myself. What have I done wrong? Right? So you set the pace of your transaction. Yes, a person's individual situation will clearly impact that, but you amend what you're doing accordingly, right? And then we talked about this a minute ago. When you finish any appointment, you either leave with a deal or another appointment. I mean, and here's what's cool about that, right? I try and have strategies that I can always find a win in. You know, I think too many people in sales respectfully gauge themselves by closings, right? I get it. I definitely get it. My goal was never the closing. My goal was the appointment, which is easier to get. Right. Right. Because the closing's a process. Yeah. And frankly, there's a lot of things that can go haywire. But the appointment's me and you. So I wanted to be able to gauge myself on something I had complete control over. And if I did that, then I've got no problem. Right. So my goal was always the appointment. I knew if I had enough appointments, I knew what my closing ratio was. It waffled, but it was always consistent. I knew if I got a listing, I knew what my time frames were, you know. So I set myself on things that I had complete control over, that I could gauge based on my abilities. And so that's why I said, if my goal was to always have an appointment or a contract, every day was a success. For, you know what, I don't mean it. I should change that. Every day had the probability of success versus I'd love to get a closing every day, but that's not, for a one-man show, one-woman show, not reasonable, right? Not really reasonable. And I think that you follow up that thought with having a set follow-up routine. So my follow-up routine was quite simple. I followed up on Monday morning, Tuesday night, Wednesday evening, Thursday afternoon, Friday morning, Saturday morning, right? So I was always consistent in that, because maybe you're not available in the mornings, but you're available in the afternoon, right? And I didn't accept leaving a voicemail as the answer. That didn't mean I made my follow-up call. I left the voicemail, but if you didn't call me back, I was following you up. Again, going back to sort of the beginning, if I've got a process and I'm holding myself accountable to that process, and you've taken my time, which is my only asset in this business, I'm not going to be disrespectful to your time, but I have earned the right to at least follow up and find out how I did as far as my job went, and hold myself accountable to that and learn. So having a routine, I think, is important. And it doesn't have to be as aggressive as mine. I mean, you know, I just think a standard of that you can hold yourself to. So it's just not sort of just off the cuff, you know, today I'll follow up. But so, and then, you know, am I recording that in, think about it. If you have a system, you record it in the CRM that we thought was necessary, and you've left that conversation in follow-up with either a deal or another appointment, or at least the time frame for an appointment, you're in this perpetual cycle that will nurture that garden and get all of those transactions, right? Really, that's it. I mean, I can't, I don't have much else. That's my core beliefs, and I don't think that you have to drill down on all the details, right? So learning the contract, we did listings as an overview, fine tune that, buyers over that. But that's the real estate business.
Mhm.
That what I just showed you there, as basic as it is, and it is, right? Did 84 transactions in the first year. That's what we did.
It's just so crazy.
We never did less than that.
Yeah.
Never. When we were actively selling, we never did less than that.
Mhm.
Right? Now, don't get me, and think about this for a minute. Transaction size.
Mhm.
Okay. I will tell you that, month one, we had one deal, that we did one deal. I think month two was like two, and then it built from there. It was like four and five. And then the double sides, right?
Mhm.
When I got a listing, I really worked hard at trying to sell both sides.
Mhm.
I really worked hard at that.
Mhm.
More commission, less aggravation.
Mhm.
Easier for me to manage myself than manage somebody I don't know, right? I mean, that was kind of because one of the things that I don't put in there, and it's a core philosophy of mine, is when I'm in a transaction, I assume nobody else is going to do the job correctly, so I'm going to do everybody's job for them because I want to get paid, right? I don't, respectfully, if you're a competitor, I don't want my commission riding on you having to do the things you have to do. I'm going to make sure you're doing them.
Mhm.
Do it nicely,
Mhm.
right? I'm not going to do it in a way that offends you.
Mhm.
But once we get under contract together, gosh, we got to get that thing to closing. So we're gonna, that's kind of my mindset. So I really did try and sell my own listings a lot,
Mhm.
and we did. We were over 60% most of the time with that.
Mhm.
But this is the methodology we use to build our businesses, and then then you start to meander into that business planning and what you're going to add to that business plan. Are you going to add a buyer's agent? You're going to add an administrative assistant, or do you need to add any of them? Who knows?
Mhm.
If you want to, I think that a single agent with no admin assistant can probably hold 5 to 7 listings and manage an ongoing routine of 3 to 4 deals. I think, and that's a full-time job,
Mhm.
right? If you get much over that, then it starts to be like a part-time administrative assistant
Mhm.
to take some of that task work off, which again makes sense to me
Mhm.
because the administrative assistant, depending on what you have them doing, 12 to 20 bucks an hour,
Mhm.
even as a new agent, I think you're $150 to $250 an hour consultant.
Mhm.
So, I get it in the beginning, but as you grow your business, why would a $250 an hour consultant be doing a $20 an hour job? I mean, it never makes sense to me.
Mhm.
But people do it. Why? Because they don't manage their business like a business. They're
Mhm.
doing that. So, but that's any thoughts, questions, any?
Do you find that people in like your super close inner circle, like best friends, closest family, that you're kind of hold those same expectations as far as kind of leading the charge and saying like, what's your
Yep.
timeline? You're same way.
So
across the board?
I know you now, right?
Mhm.
We don't know each other well, but I know you. But if I come to you as a PA,
Mhm.
are you going to do anything differently for me because you know me?
Mhm.
So that's the
Yeah.
example that I use, right? Do you choose your words differently? Probably,
Mhm.
right? But ultimately, I still want to do it my way because this is, and Lane, it's a great question because it's happened where either I or somebody that I know has walked away disappointed, or I felt like weren't as happy about the transaction
Mhm.
because you try and change, right?
Mhm.
And it gets to where it will get to the point or could get to the point is there's only a few people in my inner circle I even do business with.
Mhm.
I'll do it more on the mortgage side than the real estate side
Mhm.
because the real estate side's so emotional.
Mhm.
And, you know, I lost a good friend over a listing, a listing because the quick story. I mean, he hired me, I mean, we played golf together all the time, hung out together all the time, put his house up on the market for $995, told him it was worth 9, had a deal on it like within 30 days for 930. He wouldn't take it. 30 grand over what it was worth, right? I didn't even get mad that he didn't take it, by the way. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. I mean, I wanted him to take it, but I wasn't mad at him for not taking it. 2 months later, he goes, well, we're going to take it off the market, go with somebody else because you're not getting it done. I'm like, honestly, I'm like, what the heck do you mean I'm not getting it done? I mean, you had one verbal and one regular offer, right? And he's like, yeah, no. And he did it over the phone. I'm like, you know what? This is such a cowardly bullshit move. Just do whatever you want, you know? And he was offended because I told him it was cowardly. Well, I did think it was cowardly, and I don't mince words, you know? He told me what he thought. I told him what I thought, right? And blew a friendship over it, right? So.
Did he sell it?
Yeah, he sold it 7 years later for $890. And the funny thing is, so this is where I go to, if you look at the importance of the education and you being a market expert in what you do, like, and you can, just for your sake, you don't have to be an overall market expert getting out. Like, just when you engage your customer, as you're working with that customer, become a market expert in what they're trying to do, right? So I can tell you the handful of people, and it's not a lot, right? But the handful of people that have gotten away from us over time, they never did more than what we said they were going to do. A neighbor of mine in Wentworth, it's like, we listed their house for $650. They didn't take an offer that we highly recommended. Stayed in it another 6 months. Wound up putting a new roof on it. Thought they were going to get more money for putting a new roof on. I'm like, putting a new roof on because your roof leaks, not because it's going to make your house worth more money. I mean, and that's truth, right? And you know, they went about it a different way. Sold it for $25,000 less than an offer they turned down. You know, another lady. And I'll never forget this lady, Erin Woodward. Her husband, Chris Woodward, was a player for the Mets, now manages, I think, or used to manage one of the major league teams. Nice people. Had their house listed in Crystal Beach for like 2 years. But it was always like 50 grand over market. And Erin was like, yeah, but it's my house, you know? And all right, whatever. Erin, I got to stay in power. I don't care. I was getting buyers off it. Crystal Beach, I'm getting calls all the time, you know? So she calls me up one day, like 2 years in, and says, well, Tony, it's time to move on. You can't get it sold. I'm like, Erin, you got to do me one favor. I said, we've known each other a long time now. I said, give me 90 days my way at my price range. And if I can't sell it, move on. But I've done this for 2 years your way. Just give me the courtesy of 90 days my way. But she was ready to sell. She really wasn't ready to sell before. And she goes, that's fair. Sold 30 days later. You know, so I think you have to be committed to how you do things and cautious of how you do them with those really close to you.
I know, yeah.
Right?
Because that's like probably the first people I'll work with, or people their house flooded in St. Pete, and they're like, we don't want to deal with this again. And it's my husband's best friend. They're getting married, like, and his fiance. My husband's in their wedding, and I'm like, the first one that I really am like, I want to make sure that they get what they should for their home, that they don't overpay for what they're, and I'm like, great. The first people are the ones that I really wouldn't want to.
Right. You want to break the ice somewhere else. I
Yeah.
think the important thing there, and it goes to your question, goes to my answer, right? So always being committed to your process. So when I hear that, I think the most important thing is, listen, what are your expectations? What are your expectations? And there's two parts of that, right? What are your expectations of the transaction? What are your expectations of me in the transaction? Right? Because I do want to separate this, right? I want to take care of you because you're my friend. I certainly wouldn't want you to trust somebody as much as you would trust me, right? But I also don't want to disappoint you. Like, now, maybe you're not using those words, but for the sake of the explanation, right? And then you decide, can I do this? Now, for you, you've got, and I stress this enough, can't stress this enough. you will always have the backbone of our support. So you can't,
Mhm.
you won't make a mistake as long as you're willing to say, hey, let me just double check something, right?
Right.
So I wouldn't let that be a concern for you.
Mhm.
I understand the anxiety over it, but
Mhm.
I can tell you we've got your back, right?
Yeah.
But I do think those that conversation, those definitions,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And just having that clarity of purpose with what you're going to do. And if there's something in there that you're concerned about, then let's us game plan it to see if we can make sure it's not something that's look, if you got a red flag, we want to see if we can settle the red flag,
Mhm.
basically, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. I do need to like sit down and have like a conversation with them about because they're demoing it right now to
Right.
fix all the floods, so they're not in
Right.
a week going to be listing it.
Right.
But they've expressed interest and they still have, and they just bought this house like 6 months ago. So they still get, I guess, leads from the person that sold them their house, like the MLS.
Sure.
So they're already kind of looking online and I'm just like,
Well, I'll tell you. So my strategy on that, right? So this is a good example of strategies. So as soon as I know somebody might be listing their house, I find out what they want to look at,
mhm,
and I get them out there and look.
right. I went and previewed a couple places for them.
So great idea would be, hey, let's go look at 2 or 3,
Mhm,
so I know what I'm keeping my eye open for you.
mhm,
And while you're doing that, so now it's kind of like in flow versus over dinner.
mhm,
In flow what the expectations are,
mhm.
and then you can formulate your game plan how to go about it.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. When somebody's got the sell buy kind of scenario, like they got to sell to buy, or they're going to sell to buy. So I think many agents go to get the listing, get the listing, get the listing, get the listing. I was always, let me see your listing when we go in to look at something.
Yeah.
Right? Because guess what? If they see something they like, they're easier to deal with on the sell.
Yeah.
Right? Because the biggest anxiety for anybody, and I just did it a year ago, and I'm in the business 20 years, and it's terrible for me and Michelle. The biggest anxiety anybody has is they got a house to sell. Where am I going?
Mhm,
I don't want to sell this till I know where I'm going. And that's a virtual impossibility.
mhm.
Statistically, unless they've got the ability to hold both, they have to sell before they can buy something because nobody's taking a home sale contingency.
Mhm.
Nobody, not in this market.
Yeah.
Now, unless you give them 100 grand non-refundable, maybe they talk to you.
Yeah.
So I used to love getting them out because I took people, truly not exaggerating, people that were telling me they were 6 to 12 months out. And I'd be like, well, let's just go look at a few. I got an extra hour or two. See what you're going to look at. I'll be able to keep my eye open for you.
Mhm,
And they went from 6 months to a year out to get my house listed tomorrow. I want that house,
mhm, mhm.
because the reason why what you learn is the reason they're 6 to 12 months out is because they don't know where they're going to go and they're fearful. They're afraid.
Mhm.
So, and I think that's a great way to do it because I think the bigger, not to scare you, right? But just to be clear, the bigger opportunity for disappointment is on the listing side than the buy side.
Yeah.
So to be able to take them out and do that in a relaxed atmosphere and sort of get a feel like in again, good practice too, right? But to get a feel for,
Mhm.
what they're thinking and all that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited for them. I just want to do right by
Stressed for
them.
you.
Yeah. Like, I just want, and they're getting married in 3 weeks. And so, like, I don't, wedding.
Well, the good news is the wedding will be over. So if you get pissed off at you, your husband's
right.
wedding experience
Yeah,
won't be
I was
bad.
already there.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all good.
So, all right. Yeah, I think that's
You're
good.
right, Tony. I'm working with a couple in Harbor Watch. They want to go back up north because their 32-year-old sons are there and they miss them terribly. Okay? The house is ready to be listed. They did lots of improvements. I told them if we get $1,000,001 for it, and they can. It's just on the Gulf. It's beautiful. But Eleanor, we don't know where we're going. Well, you want to go back to Pennsylvania near your boys. I'll give you some Remax agents. We go, agents that have been in the business in that area, and they can take you around. So I called 3. They all called them. They never called them back. And I said, let them do some searching for you. Your boys are up there, they can go look at the houses. Well, they don't really know what I want. I mean, it's so difficult.
Yeah, it's
So
the hardest
I still
thing.
haven't listed this house, and I know I could sell it, because there's nothing on the market there right now, on the Gulf with the pool and the sunsets and the gated community. Some people are so stubborn.
Yeah. It's fear though. It's really fear on their side. I mean, and I get it. I mean, I went through it. It was hard. You know, a couple kids, you know, school, got to, you know, what are you going to do? I mean, where am I going? Where am I going? And then, but somehow you got to convince yourself and have the faith that you can get it done for them. I mean, that's kind of the key, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's tough because you can't even take them looking.
I
Right.
can't, not in Pennsylvania.
Right.
And then they saw something, one of the boys' neighbors said, you should look at this house in a beautiful area, it's a for sale by owner. So they had their sons make an appointment, and the 2 sons went with a cousin, they all kind of live in that area. Eleanor, it's the only one for sale in there, it's 600,000, and it looks wonderful. They found a crack in the slab. And I said, do they like the house? Yes, I said, get an engineer to go and check that out.
Yep.
We'll have to pay for it. I said, it's the neighborhood you want.
Part of the process. I mean, you know, that's like that. So like that point there, just for your knowledge too, right? Like I know a lot of, and if I might have talked about this, I don't know, but you know, part of the process for a buyer is appraisal and inspection, right? Buyer's going to spend $1,000 when they go to buy a house. It's just $700 to $1,000 when they go to buy a house. And so many agents kind of want to stair step it. Well, don't do the appraisal until the inspection's done. Well, that number one, you're dragging out the process. Number two, you can't save them the money because you could have a clean inspection and something on the appraisal. And you're taking, you got to get rid of, like, remember how you got to keep that momentum going a little bit? You don't want to say, okay, I just overcame all these inspection issues. Now I got an appraisal issue. I got to, you know, it's like boom, boom, just getting punched and punched and punched. Whereas I like to just get it all out of the way. And oh, by the way, I want them committed. You know, well, listen, if it falls apart, I'm going to try and find a way to offset the cost in the transaction for them, right? Because I don't want to lose them as a customer, at least part of it. But I want them committed. I'm busting my tail to get these people a deal, you know? And then, so just little things like that. But, you know, people have different opinions on that, and that's okay. I mean, I don't, you know, for me, it's that sales side of it. I think that I just believe that, like, here's the deal. You're like, and I just use this as a loose example. You come in, you want to do the training. Look, I'll invest in that, right? I'll invest in that. But I know people that have said, I want to do training, don't show up, don't sit in it, like, you know, and then they'll complain that they're not doing deals. And I'm like, well, I feel like you're investing, I invest, but if people aren't investing, I offer everybody to do a business plan with them. Nobody wants me to do a business plan with them. I mean, what can I do? Right. So it's the same thing with the transaction. So I don't know. Is this helpful? Like, are you finding it helpful?
Super helpful. Yeah, it is, because it's helping me a lot figure out how I'm going to, like, the actual conversations and how to navigate them. Whereas previously I was like, what am I going to say when the time comes? Like, what do I say? Now I definitely have a better idea of, like, how to go through things. And yeah.
I think what'll be good, like the next thing for you, I think, because I think, you know, you got those couple things on Remax, but I also think going through like just an hour or so, just the details of like laying out a transaction, like what happens during the inspection, what, you know, those kind of things. I think that's a smart one, because I think the more knowledge you have about that, timeframes, that wouldn't take very long, because it has to be an overview, but because everyone's going to be different. So you can't be like, here's the textbook, but the process is the same. So if we go through that in detail, go through a contract in detail, and kind of go like timelines along with that contract,
Mhm.
that would probably arm you. Then talk about a buyer appointment.
Yeah.
Or, we can flip
Yeah,
flop those.
no,
But those,
I really am enjoying all of these that we have done. It's been very, very helpful. So I
Good.
appreciate you doing it
good.
for sure.
Next week I'm out of town, so
Yeah,
if we
next
could
week's
just
fine.
go to the following week and do you know your schedule yet for that week or no?
Yeah, I have my schedule through the end of the year.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah.
can't even do that.
We get, so like on December 1st, I'll get all of January.
Really?
I have to have my February requests in because I
Wow.
get to request off 5 days every month. I won't work.
Okay.
And then the rest is just kind of random. So
So where are you at that?
let's
For-
see
well, it's
here.
in- wow.
What is it, the
We're in
first
the-
week of December then,
Yeah, I
right?
know, that's crazy.
I know I have to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. Oof, it's gonna be rough. All the people going places for Thanksgiving.
All the people coming here from other places.
Oh yeah, the people that are because like New York's got crazy rules right now.
Yeah, so they're going to come here and bring all their crud with them.
Yeah. But when they leave here to go back to New York, they have to get a test before they leave. Then they have to quarantine for 4 days in New York,
Yeah, that's
and
right.
then get another test. The same thing. Well, not same thing with Connecticut, but
Hey, Mike,
For Eric, you want me to just throw him in the desk?
for what?
Eric,
Oh, okay.
just throw him in the desk?
Yeah.
Michelle said give it to you.
so that first week of December, I work Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So if we could
Well, you do
something-
Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah. Can we do something Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever. What did you say was next? Either something going through contracts or
Yeah, we could bang as much as we can. We could either do the contracts or buyers. You could take your pick. Just let me know what you want.
let's do buyers.
Okay. Well, I think we might be able, because we did listings, we might be able to do both.
Okay.
So we'll
If you're
try,
up for it, yeah.
Yeah. Want to say like 10:30? Does that work?
Yep. That's totally fine.
Perfect.
How long did you live in Wentworth for? When did you live in Wentworth?
From 03 till 2012.
Do you know the Vallette family?
Know the name, don't know them.
Yeah, they're my growing up. My parents were pretty good friends with them, and then the Zacharys used to live across the street.
Zachary's, actually, did we sell the Zachary house? We
The
might have
Zacharys
sold
lived
Zachary
across the
house.
street from the Vallettes.
Yes. We may have even sold the Zachary house. We had the land listed. I don't remember. We did something with them.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
parents used to be friends with the Vallettes, and kind of by way of location, the Zacharys. And so
Right.
we used to go play in there with your kids.
Yeah, we had,
and stuff.
listen, I love living in there until it was, it was it was a time, a season,
Yeah,
it was fun.
Yeah.
It was time to move on when we did, but it
Mhm.
was fun because it had changed, it had evolved, the
Mhm.
club was private, then it wasn't, and
Mhm.
it just changed.
Yeah. Do
But
you like the golf course there though?
I do like the golf course there. It's not an easy golf course.
No.
It's too tight, but I liked it. We had a lot of fun. I mean, when I first went there, I mean, when it was private, I mean, they did a lot of tournaments and stuff like that, a lot of men's. So that part of it, the camaraderie, that part was really good.
Mhm.
Competition was very good.
Mhm.
And at a time when I wasn't really a good golfer at all, I'm way worse than I am now. But yeah, I liked it. Yeah, a lot of people hate it.
Really?
Yeah. Narrow fairways, a lot of out of play where there's no safety, like you lose your ball,
Mhm.
and small greens.
Yeah.
So
Hard.
challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
not a place that I would enjoy trying to play golf.
well, here's the deal. If you spray the ball, not so much.
Okay.
If you keep it in play, it's fine.
Yeah.
You
Not
know?
sure
Does Michelle
exactly.
play, Tony?
What's that?
Does Michelle play?
No. No. She has zero desire.
Doesn't want to.
No.
And you play Lane, your husband?
My husband plays a lot more than I do. I very casually for like 9 holes,
Oh.
and then I'm like, I get the mental fatigue gets to me before the physical fatigue. I'm like,
If you're really playing, yeah.
yeah, I
That-
get mentally exhausted.
It's the hardest part of the game, I think. I mean, because there's the there's certainly the ability part, but that game is so much between the ears. Like
Oh, yeah.
if you like, it's the difference of like I like playing in their tournaments. I mean, I have my handicap, so you get handicapped, but um, like when I'm in a tournament, I know that I block those time off. My phone's off. I'm just committed to playing golf,
Mhm,
right? And I love that, but it's exhausting,
mhm.
you know. And then just the casual rounds, they're frustrating because I can't concentrate that way. So I have a great deal of like it's amazing like when you separate those two and you watch these guys that play for millions of dollars and you realize how exhausting that is.
It's gotta be.
Because
And they don't even get carts, so then they gotta walk the whole way.
but it's every
Yeah.
shot. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's where like I'm like a good round for me is high 80s. I mean, so but that's every shot taking everything into account, looking at the rangefinder, looking where to hit it to. Like
Yeah.
it's like
At some point, I'm just like, whatever.
right. Well, that's
It'll go where it goes.
right.
I play tennis, I don't play golf.
Oh, okay. Me and my husband played in a mixed doubles league once.
Oh, really?
I wouldn't recommend it for a marriage. It's not good.
Oh no, not good.
No, it was. We did not play well together. It was,
Are
"Why doing
you
that?"
are you are you guys competitive?
We're both very competitive individuals.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're both fairly athletic individuals. I mean, he played in the minors for a while, so I mean, he's a pretty athletic person, and so neither of us can really do much casually.
Gotcha. Right.
So, like,
Yeah.
if he goes and plays a casual round of golf, like, he still is very much invested in how well he plays.
Yeah,
So-
that's it. It's like I play with 3 or 4 guys pretty regularly, and it's all about the game. I mean, it's like we have a little wager going on or whatever, but it's really about who wins and loses. I mean, it's
Yeah.
and none of us like to lose to each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's been we did I tell you a story about the Minion? Did I tell you this story? No. So
What with the ballot?
no.
stuff?
We
Oh, I was
play
like,
for
ballot counting?
we have a low net game where just 4 of us are playing it. Low net game. Throw $10 in the pot, so the low net gets the 30. Wins $30. But the loser, the high net, the high scorer, has to take this stuffed animal minion and ride around with it in the golf cart, right? So you literally, and it's stroke play. So we're talking 5+ hour rounds, and we're like, something's got to give here, guys. This is because nobody wanted to lose. I mean, it is very competitive
Yeah.
mindsets. So
But I think that's good for people in general.
I need it.
Yeah.
If I don't have an outlet for my competitiveness, I go. And Michelle's not competitive.
Yeah.
So she has none of that.
Yeah.
So for me, if I don't have that, I'm going bananas. Like the coaching I love coaching for that reason. Wins and losses. It's really easy.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still coaching your son and your daughter?
No,
No.
they don't do anything.
Oh, so you don't even really have a true investment on the basketball team?
No.
just you coach.
My kids don't even go to that school.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Very
Yeah.
cool. So did you always like basketball that much?
No, I don't even like basketball.
No. Okay.
To be honest with you. I mean, I like the game. I do like I like coaching the game, but me going and watching a game for fun, yeah, no. Hockey, baseball. That's the only thing I want to watch, and I watch golf. Like the big tournaments. I don't watch as much. Hockey, baseball. That's it. That's what I watch
Mhm.
to enjoy watching it.
Mhm.
Not even
So-
football.
No, I don't like football.
No.
At all?
Not like I used to.
College or professional?
I'm probably more college now than pros.
Yeah.
Now, I used to like the pros.
Yeah.
I don't like all the social justice bullshit. When they start mixing that in, it just
I don't think that'll ever leak into hockey, but it's starting to leak into baseball.
it's discouraging to me.
Yeah.
It's just I don't want to deal with it
Yeah.
that much.
Yeah.
I know it's there, but I'm paying to watch you entertain me, not to give me your social. I'll turn on Fox or whatever Newsmax. I switched to Newsmax. So,
Yeah.
I'll turn on that to get my info. I don't need to see that on the baseball You know, and oh, by the way, by multi-million-dollar paid athletes,
Right.
they're full of shit. It's
Yeah.
just not genuine, right? It's just not genuine.
Well, they don't live in reality like
No.
the rest of us.
Hey, look,
so.
if they want to send that message, then donate your entire salary to some social cause and go from there. Now, listen, I'll definitely listen to you. But a LeBron James standing up and dictating and preaching,
Yeah.
come on, he's just racist. I mean, seriously, that's all there is to it.
Mhm.
I'll use that term very often. Yeah. So, I don't.